Hi, I'm Kyle, and today on the channel, we're doing another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5. In today's video, I'm counting down the top 5 companies that could possibly land the AEW wrestling figure line.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, back again with another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, a weekly tradition every single Thursday on this very YouTube channel. We do a top 5 and occasionally a top 10 countdown, and today we got a special business hat edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, as today we're going to count down my top 5 most wanted companies to take over the AEW wrestling brand of action figures. Now, this is going to be a little controversial. Stick with me here and make sure you're wearing your business hat for this one. Yes, Todd, I forgot my business hat. It is what it is, though. But we're going to start this countdown to number 5, work our way to number 1. Number 1 being the company I want to take over, the AEW toy company, the Jazzwares, is going to lose theoretically at the end of 2026. Now, that being said, I'm going to say best for business, the best case scenario, whether you like it or not, is Jazzwares keeping the AEW license. Now, we know they have the license through the rest of the year. We've seen a new series up for pre-order on Ringside. We saw Tanahashi from Ringside. We got Collect Major Mark Sterling. We got Dalton Castle, the Outrunners, Darby Allin coming to Jazzwares Vault. We're not out of the game quite yet. Wouldn't be shocked to see some more of that Swerve Donna 2-pack and maybe a few surprises before the year is up. We'll see where it goes. But for all intents and purposes, so many people out there on social media are saying it's over, it's over. They've lost the license, the line's dead. A lot of people have been saying that for the same thing for 2-3 years now, saying the same thing all the time. And eventually you're going to be right. But so far it is not totally dead. It has slowed down immensely, but that we do know. Just using our business hat, using our eyes, and maybe even our ears a little bit, we understand Jazzwares AEW is not Mattel WWE. Let's be honest. I think we all understand that. They do not sell at the same velocity. It's not the same collector fan base. There's crossover. There's always crossover. Guess what? There's WWE Mattel, Hasbro Marvel Legend crossover. But there's not tons and tons of crossover, as some would like to believe, with the Jazzwares figures. They just don't sell in the majority in the links that the Mattel stuff does. It's brand awareness. It's all that goes into it. It's also retailer awareness. Target's more impressed with something WWE than they would be with AEW. Let's be honest. Now, if AEW was turning and burning and making them a ton of money, that script might get flipped, but it's not. So where we are right now is AEW brand not as hot as WWE as far as sales. Let's be honest. That's true. We all know that. The facts are the facts. That's just the way it is. But Jazzwares AEW is a match made in heaven. You got Jeremy Padawer, of course, once upon a time from Mattel, once upon a time from Jakks. He's got a lot of firsthand knowledge of the wrestling action figure business, and that's somebody you want on your side that understands the business. There's nothing better if you're a company like AEW and you're dealing with a toy company, somebody that actually understands the history of wrestling figures and also understands the brand and what it takes to be bringing them to life at the market, at retail, Amazon, Walmart, Target, Ringside, etc. You want somebody like Jeremy in your corner. You're not going to get that everywhere else, and you're not going to get that to the same degree everywhere else. Now, putting my business hat on once again, I've talked about this numerous times on the channel. I truly believe AEW says our contract's up. You be smart. I don't care what we're talking about, what kind of contract. If a contract is up, maybe you're very happy with your partner and you're going to extend it. You still want to field some offers from the outside. You want to see what else is out there. You want to see the whole menu if you can, including the appetizers and dessert. You want to see what's going out there, and you want to play the market a little bit. You'd be a fool not to. That's business 101. So I truly do believe there is still a chance they are going to stay with Jazzwares. You never know what might happen. I think that is best case scenario, if that is a case in the scenario. But I think that AEW is looking around, and I've heard from people boots on the ground out there at Toy Fair that, AEW was at Toy Fair. They were talking to other companies. I'm sure there was some back and forth, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in this video as well. But best case scenario for me personally, I think Jazzwares AEW is a partnership that should continue. That being said, if it does continue, it's not going to be the partnership of old. And all these other companies, it's not going to be the Jazzwares style partnership. It's not even going to be WWE Mattel style partnership. They're going to dial it back. Whoever ends up with this line, be it Jazzwares or somebody else, it's going to get dialed back. There's no doubt about it. There isn't enough movement and sales on these action figures to keep turning and burning so many sets. I wouldn't be shocked, if Jazzwares stuck around, maybe Unmatched and Unrivaled comes out 2 sets each a year, if that. Maybe more stuff goes to the vault. Maybe they dial back some things from Ringside in the vault as well. We'll see where it goes. But if any of the other companies pick it up, you're fooling yourself if you think we're going to get as much AEW figures as we've got over the last couple of years. It's just not going to happen. Hate to break the news to you on that one. But before I talk too much, let's get into it. Let's start it off. As I said, we're going to start at number 5. Number 5 is my first vision where I'd like to see them go. Then we'll work our way to number 1. Number 1 being, I think, the best case scenario. Whether or not any of these will happen, nobody knows, but that's the fun of these lists. And as usual, this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. So without further ado, let's kick it off. Number 5. All right, we kick it off here at number 5. Now, I want to say right off the bat, you can't have Mattel in your list. It's just not going to happen. There's no world that Mattel will get the Jazzwares license. So you got to leave Mattel out of this one. It's just not within the realms of possibility. It's just not going to happen. Sorry to burst your bubble on that one there. But here we are at number 5. And number 5 is an interesting toy line. It's a toy line that's no stranger, or a toy company, I should say. It's a toy company that is no stranger to wrestling figures. Coming in at number 5, Jakks Pacific. Yes, Jakks Pacific. Now, that being said, I think they could do a good job on a wrestling figures line here in 2026. But what would it be? We see most of their lines very kiddie. You see Mario. You see DC Sonic stuff. We saw those Streets of Rage figures and Alter Beast and some of the Sega Universe figures. What could they do with wrestling in this day and age? And would that fit their global brand strategy? I'm not exactly sure, but Jakks has a long history, as we know, with even Jeremy Padawer back in the day, a long history of wrestling figure love. Would they be willing to jump back in with a new player in AEW? I think it could be an interesting one. And Jakks truly is the sleeper of toy companies, I would say. Oftentimes forgotten about, but a huge, massive company still to this day with huge properties. Just because we don't collect them necessarily like we do Mattel, Hasbro, McFarlane, NECA, etc., does not mean they don't exist. Now, Jakks is bigger than the NECAs of the world, for instance. They're not a Jazzwares, Mattel, Hasbro at this point, but they're knocking on that back door. So they are no slouch after all, and I think AEW would love to pair up with Jakks, and I could just see Jakks bringing wrestling home for the first time in 18 years or whatever that number is. So my pick for number 5, we're going Jakks Pacific. Next up on who do I think could possibly get this AEW license if it goes away from Jazzwares, that is. At number 4, looking at Super 7. Yes, Super 7. Now, this is a little bit out of left field, but there's been some rumors, Todd McFarlane, some rumors, and they've danced in the wrestling space in the past. And I'm not just talking those Good Brothers. I'm not talking about those Major Brothers. I'm talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. We know Brian Flynn over there really enjoys wrestling figures a little bit. I don't think that's his number one. He loves Godzilla the most, I think. But he does enjoy wrestling. He wanted to do more wrestling. It did not happen. Now, Brian isn't in charge of Super 7 like he once was. Super 7 reshuffling the deck, as we've seen with our business hat as of late. And I could see them getting into the AEW stuff. But once again, if they do AEW figures, which is a possibility at this point, will they be like Jazzwares? No, they'll be probably the Ultimate and Reaction style. Those are the two styles. You'll get a mixture of both probably. But there is no possible way you're going to get 50 figures a year. I doubt you would get 20 figures a year. So that is a true possibility going forward. And maybe that's the right amount for people like you, maybe people like me as well. But I can see Super 7 throwing their hat in the race for this one. But you're looking at like 2 to 3 sets of Ultimates a year. So 4 to 8, 12 figures a year. That's not a whole lot of stuff. I don't know if that's enough to get people excited if it's so few figures and long wait time. So we'll see what happens there. But that's my pick at number 4. It is Super 7. Countdown rolls on to the halfway point. Have you liked this video? Have you subscribed to this channel? Have you subscribed to my other YouTube channel? Have you checked out my podcast? Well, links in the description down below. But here we are at the halfway point, and this is a bit of a wild card one. This is one just kind of sneaking into the list at number 3. This is a smaller company, and we'll talk more about that maybe at number 1. A smaller company, but a company that does turn and burn a fair amount of product. Now, long wait times that would have to be closed if they did get this line, but they do currently make wrestling figures. They do make a lot of different figures as well. It is Boss Fight Studios. Now, this isn't Mattel, this isn't Haswares, it's not Jakks. It's not a lot of the bigger companies, obviously. It's almost more akin to the third party like the Collect Major, Zombie Sailor, Grapplers and Gimmicks, but I would say a level above them just for length of time in business and the amount of product they have put out over the years. But I do think Boss Fight is one of those sleeper ones that might want to ramp up production, jump to the next level with their action figure game. I think if they did get the Jazzwares license or the AEW license from Jazzwares, easy for me to say, I do think some of their ancillary lines would drop off and they would put more of the finances towards that. But now there has been some juggling of positions, I believe, at Boss Fight over the last couple of years, and I'm not sure if they're as wrestling friendly as they once were. Maybe, maybe not. But I do think Boss Fight, who has made tremendous figures over the last couple of years, could step up into this and fill the hole. And we're all about plugging holes, Todd McFarlane, in the number 3 spot here, Boss Fight Studios. Getting closer and closer to the top spot. We're at the number 2 selection here. Who could pick up this AEW brand? Who could do it right? Well, it's still to be seen here, but number 2 for me is an old friend of the channel, somebody I've been around decades upon decades here. I've been ordering from since I was a teenager. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Ringside Collectibles. Use code Kyle, save yourself 10%. Can you see the AEW unsanctioned line? I could see it. We've seen Classic Superstars unsanctioned. We've seen TNA unsanctioned. Now, could we see AEW unsanctioned? I think that is a big possibility. Obviously, when you think wrestling figures, Ringside is right in the mix. Of course, so many people online, so many people around the world order from Ringside each and every single day. They are probably one of the biggest hubs of wrestling. There's no probably about it, of wrestling figures, of just core wrestling figures. I would almost say they're right up there. They're definitely top 5 biggest wrestling selling companies for Mattel. There's no doubt about it. You got to think Amazon, Walmart, just the sheer volume, but Ringside is no slouch, and we've seen they're making their own figures now. We've seen bell-to-bell figures. We've seen unsanctioned figures. I think they could step up. Now, they would have to change some stuff. They'd have to ramp up some stuff, and once again, Jazzwares turns and burns over the last few years. All these companies I'm talking about would not put out the same amount of product Jazzwares did, but I could see Ringside coming in pretty hot. They have all those exclusives they've done for a long time. All of a sudden, you start going in-house with some of these waves and some of these things. And the best thing maybe for collectors, depending who you ask, their unsanctioned figures eerily similar to the Jazzwares figures, as we do know. Very, very similar figures between them. So they could easily fit in that same scale. It would basically almost be a continuation. And who's to say, whoever ends up with this property, do they reach out to Jazzwares? I would like to buy all of your molds. Jazzwares doesn't need them anymore, so there would be a true possibility to end up buying these molds from somebody. So that's an interesting dynamic to pay attention to in the future as well. But I could see Ringside putting their hat in the mix. They're ramping up, they're scaling up. They'd probably have to add some associates probably to the team on a lot of levels, but I think that is a distinct possibility after all these years of being a distributor, and they would carry that on. But could they do AEW? Now, the interesting part of this, too, is what does that mean with their relationship with Mattel and stuff? Could that hurt relationships if they jumped in? So there is some behind the scenes contract dealings that maybe would not allow this to happen. I'm not sure. Obviously, nobody's going to tell me that, but something to watch out for. But as far as companies, I think that one makes almost the most sense coming in. Number 2, which means there can only be one. What is the number 1 company I would like to see take over from Jazzwares and the AEW brand? Well, stay tuned. Here we are. We're at the number 1 selection. The number 1 company I think that could take over Jazzwares, and putting my business hat on makes the most sense at this point here as I film this video here in the end of winter, early spring 2026. Now, we might not know an answer till the very end of this year. We'll see what ends up happening. But multiple companies, not just one, multiple companies you did not see on this list. You didn't see Zombie Sailor Toys. You didn't see Collect Major. You didn't see the Nerd Closet Map Maniacs. You didn't see Regime, Heels and Faces, Grapplers, all these different ones, KWK. I don't think any of them have a chance. Collect Majors doing a little bit of an offshoot with the AEW, LJN, big rubber guy style figures. I do look to that to continue in the future, but I don't think any of those companies are at a point where they could ramp up production and get where maybe AEW would want them to be. Could they get a one-off figure here and there working through licensing departments? That could be another option in the future. KWK reaches over to AEW. I really want to make this Brody King figure. They say, here's the price. And then you have a one-off Brody King from KWK. And then Mitch at Grapplers and Gimmicks does the same thing. I really want to make a Regime Chris Statlander or whoever it is. Okay, well, here's what the cost is going to be. You could see some of that. And I do think maybe that is the scenario AEW should look at in the future, because that would get them maybe a little bit of money from all direction, all points in between. Could be something interesting. We've seen AEW work with other wrestling promotions more than most companies ever did. Obviously, WWE now works with a lot more and has bought a lot more, but there is some options there. But I just don't think the scale of a lot of our favorite third-party companies we talk about all the time on the channel, I just don't think any of them are quite to that level yet. But the number one selection is to that level. Do I think this will happen? I give it a better chance than I did a couple of years ago. I still don't think it'll happen. And honestly, I don't think any of these are probably going to happen. If I had to bet my house on it, I wouldn't bet the house. Wouldn't bet the house, Todd McFarlane. But for number one, I'll bet it for Todd McFarlane. I'm going to go McFarlane Toys at number one. Now, hear me out. Todd's told me from the couch here, he's did it from signaling from his toes, and he's told me with his mouth that he hates wrestling figures. He doesn't like wrestling figures, but he does like money. We do know that. And unfortunately, Todd, seeing a lot of money flapping out the door here with the DC license coming to an end. I mean, that caught Todd and everybody else by surprise. It was a bit of a shocker, in all honesty. So Todd's sitting over there saying, how can I plug these holes? And Todd and I plug holes all the time. You guys know that. Longtime viewers of the channel know that. He's got to find a property that he can get in there to get sales. Now, we've seen Todd work with Q-Figs, and we're getting some Image Comics stuff, and we're getting Todd's Mods, and all these different things. It's all about diversification of the portfolio, working throughout, but all of that I don't think is going to make up the loss of the DC license. Now, DC license is very expensive. Have to imagine DC license more expensive than, of course, the AEW license. But now, here's a point where Todd says, you know what? I've never done wrestling figures. Is it time for me to get into wrestling? Very possibly could happen. Once again, I don't see it to the degree of Jazzwares turning and burning sets all the time. But if he did come out with a couple of figures every single month, and of all the companies we've listed, he could turn and burn the most figures. We've seen what he does for DC in the past. I think it makes sense for Todd to dip his toe in. Now, what body style will he use? Would he use like a DC multiverse style body? Would it be that kind of scale? Could he just say, hey, I'm just going to make AEW statues. I'm just going to make AEW Todd's Mods. He could do that too. There's opportunities to make different style of figures, statues, things like that. So there is a true opportunity here. He has moved into some combat sports with UFC statue figures. We see him now making hockey figures, basketball figures to come. Could he put wrestling under the portfolio? Could he have a huge sports line? Once again, Todd's always been friendly from the sports. He carried the mantle from the starting lineup days on over there. I think there's an opportunity here more than there ever has been, and it is thankful to DC Multiverse going over to Mattel, leaving a gaping hole. It's a gaping hole, Todd, and Todd's going to fill it. And could he fill it with some AEW figures? I think it makes business sense. I think it's worth a try. If I was over there at McFarlane, I'd say, you know what? Let's throw our hat in. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what can happen. It would get us an easier to get at store retail. I don't know if it would be the same as Hasbro Mattel. I don't know, but I think DC McFarlane, we've seen McFarlane at store level pretty hot and heavy for a long time. So I think the opportunity is there. Whether or not it happens, time will only tell. I truly believe we won't have an answer probably till September, maybe, but we'll see what ends up happening. Once again, I'm keeping my fingers crossed they do stay with Jazzwares. I know not everybody's doing that, but I think that is the best fit at this point. Whether or not it sticks and stays, I don't know. Where does it go? Does it go to Super 7? Does it go to Ringside? Does it go somewhere else? Does it just disappear and we don't have AEW figures anymore? We'll just have to wait and see. But that is my list with a little business hat action. What's your list looking like? Put it in the comments down below. Put it in order and make sure you're wearing your business hat. You can't say, I want Mattel to take it, because it's just not going to happen in the real world. But very interested to hear your thoughts. Put it in the comments down below. You made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day and then some. We got 2 YouTube channels to keep you busy. Check out Patreon. Check out YouTube channel memberships for early access to all the videos, bonus content, giveaways, Q&As, you name it. It's all going down over there. And best of all, you do support the channel and all the work it takes. SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and The Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com, which is the name of my podcast, Kyle Peterson Show, available every Tuesday where podcasts are found, with videocast on YouTube. And don't forget my books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Complete Guide to the Jakks Class Superstar Series, the Complete Guide to the ECW Original San Francisco Toy Maker Series, both available right now. So for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?
We're going to the end of the line.